Eric, what is your favorite game show, TV game show?
I mean, aside from the obvious, right? Walk or Kitchen. I'll just put that to the side. You know what, dude? I am starting to watch and love Is It Cake on Netflix. I watched that with my daughter, and we just we can zone out episodes like a few hours in. Is It Cake is fun. It's hilarious. And my daughter really is like locked in. She just wants to always get it right. So I find that show really good. What about you?
All right. So I was a sucker for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. When I was in high school, I don't know when that came out, but I loved that show.
Circa Regis or where we go?
Early,
Regis for sure.
Regis. Like that. Yeah. Remember when that was like the zeitgeist and that was the show on TV?
It was
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I always thought it was the strategy behind using the lifelines, phoning a friend in the audience. And what was the last one? Elimination, right? You could eliminate two of the options.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's a good one, bro. Yeah. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It was great.
This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Tom Haberstroh.
And I'm Eric Adjepong.
Eric, we've got the Jeopardy episode. We got Michael Cera episode. We've got an elimination that will be thrust into this double elimination, last chance kitchen. This is my favorite episode of the season, Eric. This one had it all. I thought it was a really fun quickfire. We got Amy Schneider and Matt Roach, who came out for a surprise quickfire. Amy Schneider, a legend on on Jeopardy, and is also a Top Chef super fan. And I think I knew this last year because in her little in between interview on Jeopardy, she mentioned that she loves Top Chef. And so it's my mission to try to get Amy onto the show. So if you have any ins with Amy or any way to get to her, I would love to have her on the show because she's also an NBA head too. She's a big hoops fan. She just tweeted about Steph Curry's 52 points the other night.
Sweet. Yeah.
And it was great to have her on the show. And it's very clear that she knows her Top Chef stuff. And then Michael Cera. I thought this was a great episode, Eric.
I agree, man. I think I'm right there with you, man. One of my favorite episodes thus far, if not the favorite. I'm more so impressed that you think I have an end on Amy. So thank you for that. I'm not that cool. But, dude, it was fun, man. Just watching her go in, even her knowledge on the old school, the retro Top Chef episodes. This is not Top Chef. This is Top Scallops.
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious.
The classic Fabio line. Yeah,
classic Fabio line that lives on in Top Chef lore. Dude, man, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I'm with you, man. The trivia was awesome. I'm a big trivia guy, a massive trivia guy. I get really competitive when it comes to trivia. And then the elimination challenge, which I thought was so brilliant. I saw it kind of the first scene in a movie, and you kind of can predict what's going to happen towards the end. I saw it, but I still was very impressed and locked in. Just a great episode.
Well, you were locked in. I buried the lead here. You're taping this in the city, New York City, after doing the Today Show. So walk me through. You got to watch this episode and you're doing this pod, but you're doing it from a closet, it seems, that you showed me. There are a bunch of boxes next to you. So can you give the audience a BTS on your morning?
Yeah.
You just did the Today Show, bro.
Dude, insane, man. So last night we got the screener. Yesterday, we got the screener and I watched it right before pre-shift at Elmina, super locked in. And then when I came home after our service was done, I finished up watching the episode, and then I took a train 4:00 this morning. Jeez, it's so early. But yeah, got into to New York, did the Today Show with Olivia Munn and Jenna, which was amazing. Meeting Olivia Munn, huge crush. Didn't mention that to her, of course, but and now I'm in my publisher's house, Clarkson and Potter. I'll do a quick tour, man. You can see where all the books are stacked, and it's pretty cool, man. So I was really lucky that my publisher looked out, gave me this amazing, spacious closet to go ahead and do this pod, and I'm excited, man. It's just a day in the life, bro. There's no excuses, just results. Just make it happen.
So how does that work when you're on the Today Show? Do you come up with the dish? Do they give you any sort of direction on what you're going to cook? Is it from the cookbook, gone into the world? And so you're all right, I've done this dish 1,000 times.
100%. Exactly. So it's from Ghana to the World, in bookstores everywhere and online. And yeah, bro, they sort of picked out a recipe. We did the chichinga. So it's like a Ghanaian version, our version of kebabs. And we did the sort of beauty dish was the tomato on tomato dish. And exactly right, man. I've cooked this recipe. Dude, I've been doing this book for the past 5 years. So I've done these recipes over and over and over again. Not to mention that this same chichinga beef skewer is is on the menu in Almina as well. So it was pretty seamless. It initially said I had 5 minutes, and then it cut down to 3.5. Apparently, that's what happens when you're doing live TV. But man, it was cool, man. I'm a professional. Just made it happen, and here we are. Yeah.
You said it was like the fastest 3 minutes of your life, and I'm like, wait, you did the Kentucky Derby episode where it was like that's the fastest 3 minutes in sports, so you know the deal, and you have a lot of judgment on that stat. So that is you've been part of this cooking challenges and cooking competitions, and to do it in 3 minutes and to be eloquent and sharp and big smile on your face and high energy. Jenna, exactly. Olivia, let me show you how to do this. Like that's a skill that not every chef has.
I appreciate it, man. You know what, man? I love what I do, so I think it just sort of exudes naturally. I hope it does at least. But you're right, man. It's cool to sort of have everything just come. Top Chef. I got to be honest. It's such it's a stress when you're doing it. But then after the fact, I'm looking back. I'm like, man. The fastest 3 minutes. These are the stuff that preps me for hosting. This is the stuff that preps me for doing a 3-minute segment live on television.
That's right.
And it's wild, bro. Yeah. It's a pretty crazy sort of morning and day in the life, but I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I'm doing exactly what I want.
Eric, this was really fascinating, this Quickfire. So we have Michael Cera out, who's like a trivia nut. They have 2 Jeopardy stars out there, and they come up with this this game show where they have 3 teams. They have to answer 15 questions, and they have buzzers. And they're separated into these 3 teams, and I guess it was kind of like a schoolyard. You pick your teams, and the winner would have 30 minutes to do their cook. The loser would do 20 minutes, but the second place would have 20 minutes, and then the loser would have 15 minutes. So you're thinking what when you watch this? Like, I'm gonna get that 30 minutes. There's no doubt that my team is gonna get that 30 minutes. Or you're looking around and you're like, do you even try to size up your competition in terms of who you want to be on the team? Or are you just like diplomatically, I'm just gonna stand behind somewhere and then let the chips fall where they may?
I gotta be honest, none of the above. Theme music, like cheesy game show theme music. That was going through my head. No, man, I think you just kind of just pick a side. It's too early in the game. I mean, we've gotten a couple runs in. We're probably like a quarter of the way through thus far, but it's still pretty early in the game to sort of like size people up, right? And you don't know everyone's trivia. You also don't know everyone's food knowledge. So if you stood on the left, middle, or the right, you could just be 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15 minutes to cook. So I myself would just sort of go in the middle, because I feel like that's the path to least resistance, or at least the shortest line to success. Just walk in the middle, and then hopefully have a team that's strong enough to get me to 30 minutes. And it seemed like that middle group, exactly, the fellas, all of them, they were rocking, bro. The purple team, they rung off like 8 in a row. It was insane. It was
green. It was Vinny, Corwin, Schweiss, Cesar. Yeah. They had 8 ingredients that they could choose from, which was a huge. I liked that tie-in too.
I love that tie-in. Yeah,
you got the correct answer. You got that ingredient, which added another dimension to this. But I want to give a shout out to Tristen, dude. You got him on your team with an early draft pick, and you were vibing with Tristen from the get-go.
Yeah.
This dude, he in that little like car confessional was talking about, like, they were like, yo, this guy knows his trivia. And he's like, they're like showing this like montage of him with all these like random factoids. And one of them was that 60 starting NBA players were in the Olympics this year. A man after my own heart. That dude, Tristen.
Fell in love all over again. Dude.
I'm
I
so
love
jealous of you that he's on your team, bro. Like when he said that, I was like, yo, Tristen out here with like NBA, like elite knowledge.
elite knowledge. Like, and I wonder what was the conversation that sparked that sort of random factoid. That's what
Literally
I
in my
was.
notes here, I said, how did that ever come up?
How did
Like,
it even happen, right?
I guess maybe they're taping and the Olympics might have been on and they're in Canada and like Shea
Oh, good
Gilgeous
call.
Alexander might have been.
Yeah,
I have no
yeah.
idea, but the fact that
Third
that
eyes
came up
opened.
in a
Yeah.
conversation was so amazing to me. I was like, dude, and not only did that come up, he had like an amazing stat.
It was right there off the top of the dome. Well, your third eye is open because you're absolutely right. I think that's exactly what happened. They're in Canada. At the time, Canada was the second best team, or at least doing, second best with Shea Gilgeous and RJ and Dylan Brooks and the rest of the crew. But dude, it was I was so impressed, man, so impressed. And they rung off maybe like 2 or 3 different scenes in that montage of just random, but still like impressive, like just factoids. I was really, really, really impressed. Happy he's on my team. He had a great showing. Not so much in the Quickfire, but definitely finished strong this episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's run through here. You're in the trivia, like behind the buzzer, and Tristen's like, I'm just gonna buzz early before the question gets over. I appreciate the strategy, but maybe a little too quick on that trigger,
Way too haste, man. You gotta let the question play out. And if not, man, then you just look like just a deer in the headlights, man. I get it though. I mean, after a while, like 8 in a row, 7 in a row, you're just kind of like fed up and you're just like, all right, does my buzzer work? Let me just go ahead and just like tap it. I thought Lena's idea of having Massimo on the team because he's just so high energy and high strung would be quick to the draw when it comes to tapping the buzzer. But none of that strategy worked, man. The green team came in and they were dominant. I think actually they probably called mercy at some point, like the producers. That was my thought, because after a while, it's just like, all right, you have 8. I don't know if they have that many questions left in the queue. Like, let's just go ahead and just give
they pulled the electrical cord out of the buzzer.
Yeah, they called mercy at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was wondering, like, oh, why are they still playing if the deficit is so large they can? I was like, oh, yeah, because they're second and third place that they got to figure out. So,
right. Yeah.
Green team gets 8. They get shiso, ginger, eggplant, lamb, scallops, chili crisp, nectarines, and panko breadcrumbs. Vinny does this shiso nectarine scallop dish, crudo with pistachios, Corwin with the beurre blanc with shrimp paste, seared scallop, chili crisp, ginger, the ginger beurre blanc with yuzu. Very balanced. It was top scallop. That's who I thought was going to win. Once they plated it, I was like, oh, that looks delicious. So Corwin, big time, the boxer, coming in with the win.
Oh man, the shadow boxer. I love that little you know what I wanted to ask you, when you're preparing for something pretty big, are you Corwin and sort of shadow boxing, sort of doing like the the jumping jacks, in place, or are you Vinny and kind of just in your Zen moment, right? Because they flash between the two. And I really thought that was just a juxtaposition between the two type of chefs, right? You have the one who's really just in the moment, zoned out, and then you have sort of the one that needs to kind of exude some energy. Who are you?
Yeah, so I do like a couple push-ups just to like get out energy and get my burn out some energy. And I'll one time I was in LA Live where the jump was being taped and I was on the jump with Rachel Nichols. And Rachel, when I walked in, she goes, Tom, guess who's going to be on with you today? And I was like, I don't know. Is it Brian Windhurst? Is it, another writer? And she goes, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I'm losing it. I'm like, dude, he's like the GOAT. Like, he's incredible. This isn't. Yeah, I was so starstruck. And she's like, and you know what? He's over in the green room right over there. If you want to, go rap with Kareem before you head on the air. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, and this
just at the
like,
time, the leading NBA scorer of all time at that moment. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just no big deal.
No big deal. Maybe the greatest college basketball player ever. He's on the Mount Rushmore of NBA players, right? And so I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited. So I go I open the green room door and he's meditating. He's
Not
sitting
what
there
you
in his
expecting.
he's sitting there in his chair and he's just motionless. He looks like he's napping, but he's just getting his zen. And of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who made yoga famous, and of course was like Mr. Zen, not the Zen master. That was Phil Jackson. But of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is like meditating before he goes on air on national television. And I was like, oh, like I didn't want to interrupt him. So like I waited right before we went on air, like out on the studio. But it's so funny you asked me that because like the biggest, most like pre-show vibes moment of my career is with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he was meditating.
That is an incredible story. I love that, man. I had no idea about that. That's a really, really good one, man. I think I'm more Zen too, man. I wish I could claim meditation as much as Kareem does. I'm sure he has hours and hours and hours of logged in meditation hours. But dude, Vinny was just either in Zen mode or just taking a really power nap. But I'm with you, man. I think I got to get a little bit of energy out. Either jogging in place or doing some push-ups like you. And then it's a mixture of both, man. I need like a little bit of quiet time before I get into battle.
Yeah. So he does the pregame nap. And I mean, I guess he might be doing that every time, or maybe they just caught him there. So we got in the top three, we had Kat. She did this little banana Nutella sandwich with raspberry sauce and cognac. They were saying it's like kind of like fair food, but I think it was Michael Cera was like, I could have eaten like 6 of these things. And she did that in 15 minutes. How about that having 15 minutes to cook and she gets in the top 3? Kat, salute.
Salute to you, Kat. I saw what she was doing. And I was picking up what she was dropping, man. I'm like, you know what? You just got to work it. 15 minutes is not a lot of time. That's barely enough time to get ingredients and then figure out like what to do at your station. So the fact that she got something that is good for all ages, right? I can see my daughter eating that. I can see me eating that.
I could see my grandparents eating that. Like any age,
exactly,
any age is going to love that.
Any age is going to love that. It was just really just a really smart play from Kat. And I love this sort of like ascension rather that she's having right now. Like Kat's kind of ringing off a couple of wins and good marks right now. So good for her.
Battered rice sandwich. Those are the 3 ingredients for the bottom 15. Tristen did this like mozzarella carosa that I've never heard of before with this mustard emulsion. Didn't work for him. Tatiana did this open face crab salad. And Henry went with this zucchini po' boy, which was from the get-go, I was like, nope.
Same thing. The cut on the baguette that he was doing, or immediately I can tell like, this is not it, bro. This is not it.
It was crunch on crunch on crunch. Like don't you need some sort of balance on like you have to have some really soft textures, but it was just all like very hard Cap'n Crunch ruining the roof of your mouth texture, you know?
I saw that immediately. I was like, this is either gonna bleed the top of everyone's like roofs of everyone's mouths, or it's just gonna be too difficult to eat. It also looked very cumbersome as well. Like you had to like really crunch it down to kind of get a decent bite. Better days for Henry.
Walk me through Massimo's dish in your mind, like a warm broth with toro, yellow tomato and fennel. The broth was yellow tomato and fennel, and then there was like this pretzel crumbs.
Yeah.
I love toro. It's super fatty. It's like butter. It's delicious. But when they said he was putting it in a broth, I got a little nervous that you're like almost cooking it. And I just didn't like the visual of it. And I also felt like the pretzel crumb, they said it was soggy. I was like, yeah, like when you throw like pretzel crumbs into a broth, heated broth, it's not going to work very well. So Eric, I love Massimo's energy and stuff, but this decision, it felt like almost a faux pas to do this to Toro.
I agree. And then also, man, we got a little bit of like bad boy from Massimo as well. Like we're starting to see, I don't know, I don't want to label him too early, but he kind of showed a little bit of, some angst during this cook. I agree, man. It's a dish better served cold. Shout out to last week's episode. I think he should have just definitely served that sort of fennel broth chilled. What happens with that toro being so fatty, as you called it, you essentially are kind of melting a little bit of that outside fat, and then it becomes murky. The it's just not what you want. And then on top of the sort of when you explain something to the chef, and this is something that Tom sort of off camera told us during my season. You want that description to land so hard because that's exactly what the judges are going to be looking for. So when you say like pretzel, I think of crunch. I think of salt. I think of, and then when you mention that and it's not that, it's a disappointment. It's a letdown. So there was just so many things as far as the description, the build of the dish, and maybe some of he had to use the ingredients, but it just didn't come together the way it did. And such a beautiful piece of tuna as well. Just, sad to see it goes, to waste.
What you're describing is the line that he said where I tasted the other dishes. What a joke. That what Massimo said. Now, maybe he's doing that tug in cheek or he's playing up a villain role, but yeah, I'm looking at that dish, and based on what the description was, I don't think it was a joke that he was in the bottom three.
Yeah.
Tristen did the mozzarella sandwich. I liked the thought, and it's tough when you got 15 minutes to do battered rice and sandwich. That purple team had fennel, toro, pretzels, and curry. Did you, when you heard the ingredients, was there any sort of direction or interesting choices that you saw in this quickfire before we move on to the elimination challenge?
No, it's one of those things where you have so many options, you can kind of get paralyzed by the options. So if you're the green team and you have so many things to choose from, and actually waste a lot of time just trying to figure out what you want to do. When you have more of a narrow path like the purple and the yellow team, then you can just have to cook what you have to cook. But then, the other flip of that coin is the fact that you just have less time. So keep it simple. Scallops cook very quickly. We saw a bunch of scallop dishes. I was really hoping to see a little bit more lamb from the green team because they had so much time. But I mean, listen, they executed exactly what they needed to. That combination of rice, sandwich, and that was tough. That was really difficult. But I love the spin on using the actual ingredients in their dish. From the trivia game, the Top Chef producers and just the culinary team have been just hitting the things out of the park. Yeah. Man. This has been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. The question of which dish shares the name of an all-star basketball player? I'm telling you, Eric.
So yes. Can I tell you something? Go. You go.
I didn't get it.
Listen, okay. So I'm actually literally watching. I told you I started pre-shift, right? I started watching just during pre-shift, and I had it on the TV in the patio area of the restaurant. Shout out to Elmina. And then there was two answers that were given because there was a bartender setting up, and then one person said Curry, which was the answer, but then another person said Kobe, and I said, duh. Kobe True.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
That's an answer for two. I was like, yo, dude, that was brilliant. And I wasn't thinking about that. Kobe and Curry. Why not?
That's a great point. And now that I'm thinking about it, you could probably go in a few different directions where I guess it would be a current NBA player. And I'm wondering, maybe, did you have like taste tests or like, when you can give an answer, like when it's a quiz, is there almost like an appeal board that you can be like, actually, like that is a correct answer? Like in Jeopardy, when they go back to like the judges panel, when you have like an answer that actually might count.
Sure.
On Top Chef, do you have an example of when that happened where you were like, actually, Gail, that like, I think I do get a point for that. I wonder how that would work.
I've never experienced it personally. I've never seen it done, but I think, when it comes to matters of subjectiveness, I think you can absolutely pull out sort of something like that, right? Like Kobe would have been a completely valid answer and they would have to have accepted it, and even though they probably were all thinking Curry at the time, which is also a clear answer. They didn't mention, and maybe I'm wrong, but they didn't mention current NBA player. Right, they just said NBA player. Right. So Kobe would have been an answer. And maybe they didn't have that like in the queue. So then what? Do they just go out and buy Kobe beef? Like, what do you do? because they probably didn't have it in the kitchen. So that was, to me, was just one of those moments, man. Like, and again, when my bartender said it, I was like, oh shoot. And I'm thinking like holistically, I'm thinking 360 as far as Top Chef. They have a huge kitchen and pantry back there. But what if they didn't have Kobe beef and someone said it? It's the right answer. So then do they have to go to the nearest Whole Foods and then shop for it? I don't know. Like, my mind was really blown. They would just be
like, all right, you got Kobe, but we're going to have to stick with curry here. Yeah.
Okay. Fair. But yeah, man, that was one of those situations where two answers could be right. But I don't know. Everything else, is pretty objective.
Honestly, I was watching and I was like, wait, I don't think. And then they gave the answer. I was like, I didn't get it in time. Like I might have gotten it in like a couple seconds later, but that's so embarrassing. It's like my greatest fear is that I'm on the show. And then they're like, oh, we got the NBA guy. You know the answer. And I'm like, Dirk Nowitzki? Is Nowitzki a dish?
Oh, my gosh, dude. Please? That would have been hilarious, though. I mean, yeah, that was right up your alley. I thought of you immediately. I'm so glad you brought that up because I totally forgot to. But, bro, dude, that was a really, really good one, man. And I wasn't thinking neither, bro. I was like, wait, I was with you. I wasn't thinking curry. And then he said Kobe, man, shout out to Rob, the bartender. He said Kobe and curry. I was like, dude, yes, exactly.
So the elimination. Oh, so Corwin, just to wrap a bow on that, he gets $10,000 for that. He's got 15,000 now. That dish was awesome. It looked great, and Definitely. Of course, it's very fitting that with Amy Schneider on, that they would have the scallop dish being the winning dish. It looked awesome. The elimination challenge, 6 iconic desserts. They're going to deconstruct it into from a sweet to a savory, and they're going to do a 2-hour cook at Castle Toma, which I am thrilled that they're actually going somewhere in Canada, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Eric, is that like most of these competitions this year have been in the kitchen, the Top Chef kitchen.
Yeah.
And it felt like, wait, we haven't really gotten out and seen Canada or seen Toronto or Montreal or where have you in Canada. They've pretty much brought everything into the Top Chef kitchen. So it was good to kind of finally get out and see some of the scenery. And have you cooked in a castle before? And pardon me if one of the challenges you did was cooking at a castle in your seasons, but that seemed pretty cool.
No, I've never cooked in a castle before. Can't put that on my my bingo card. But
you have been on the Today Show, so there you go.
That's fair. Good. That's a good point. Catch up, guys. So yeah, dude, it was very, very cool. Like you mentioned before, man, I love when Top Chef brings the setting, and it's almost like the 16th character, right? In the show. And the fact that we had, it was a missed opportunity to do the on ice challenge in an actual hockey rink, right? I thought that would have been amazing to actually go, like we did for Rupp Arena and our challenge in season 16. We actually went to Rupp Arena for like the basketball challenge. But it was really cool to see, some elements, the outdoors. It was clearly warm that time of the year, which gives me more insight to think that this was definitely during the Olympics, because, summer, right? They were sort of fanning themselves right there, third eye. But yeah, it was really, really nice. Beautiful castle, beautiful setting. Everyone looked amazing. Kristen, just the fit was just, top 10, like Gail, fantastic. Tom, Suave, Michael Cera, like they all look great.
They brought it.
They brought it. They brought it for sure.
I think this challenge, the heat, I'd imagine if you're judging all this food, and some of it's pretty heavy, it gets pretty difficult to keep it together, when you're battling the nature and the heat. And it doesn't seem like they got much shade. So it's no one's ever going to be crying over this, that they have to judge in these nice outfits in 90-degree heat. But I'd imagine that was not super pleasant to have to do that. And they had to, so 6 iconic desserts. I was not familiar with any of them. So None. A nice Actually, little education. One. Yeah. Which one did you know about?
The potato chocolate cake I've had before. Yeah, but everything else is new to me. Yeah.
And that would have been my first draft pick if I could get
mine as well.
Okay. Yeah. So you're familiar with it, and it's got potatoes in it. So it's a natural savory dish that you can compose around that. But Figgy Duff, shout out to Corwin and Tristen. This was the driest, crumbliest thing, and they were in the top three in this one, along with Kat. So Figgy Duff, top three. And then in the bottom was the butter tarts. I would not have projected that
yeah.
Zubair and Henry with the butter tarts actually doing a seared, they both did a seared duck breast and both did it horribly. So Eric, explain to me, because they spent a lot of time on this, showing how much time Henry was giving this slow cook, and Zubair, same thing. They did not get the duck correctly, and they did a couple different methods here. So as a chef watching this, is it like a train wreck? You're watching it and being like, this is, I'm jumping out of my skin right now watching this.
You perfectly like described my feeling and emotion as I was watching this, just yelling at the TV. No. Man, duck. Let's talk about duck first as the protein. Duck breast. It's one of the most apparent proteins, next to maybe like a steak if you're cooking a medium rare, that if you're not doing it well, it's going to be very, very clear early on. Like if you're not slow rendering the duck skin, and then allowing the duck to get to a perfect medium rare and then resting but not over resting, then it's not going to chew well. It's going to be way too chewy. It's going to be too dry, and it's temperamental. But then also when you do it right, when you cook a duck breast right, oh my gosh, it's the chef kiss, right? So I saw two methods. One of which that I thought,
right? There was one that was the sous vide method.
I would have never gone there.
Henry. Like, when he said sous vide and they were like, sous vide, huh? That was like, ooh, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
Can I say though, cats? I was putting myself. I was putting Kat in that sort of bag initially when she took the skin off and then rendered it. I'm like, for what? Why are you doing that? You need the fat. And then apparently, and then Tom asked, right, as he normally does, right? You don't really know. It's very inconspicuous. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. And apparently it was delicious. So my hat's to her, because I've never done a technique like that. I probably wouldn't be brave enough to do it, but she was very daring the entire episode. But let's get back to Henry and Zubair. The Henry sous videing the duck. It works. You got to render the duck breast. One beautiful thing, it's stages to it. So you have to sort of air dry it first, right? To get the really nice, dry, crisp skin so you can get a beautiful sear and rendering for it. When you have it in a bag, in a sous vide bag, you're not allowing any sort of anaerobic. It's all anaerobic. You're not allowing any air towards the duck itself. And that was cooking at a temperature, I don't know exactly what temperature he cooked it at, but you got to think when you try to sear it, the skin itself is going to be moist and wet. So you probably need to turn up the temperature a little bit to kind of get the rendering out. But then you're overcooking the protein itself. So that's just one way I would never handle that protein. And then Zubair, his explanation towards the duck I thought was perfect. You have to slow cook it. You have to let it render. You put it in a cold pan. You turn up the heat just ever so slightly. And then you really just let it be. Don't touch it. But then we saw him like touching and moving and touching and moving. And I was just like, bro, the more you mess with it, the more it's just going to be unforgiving. I think also there's probably a heavy seasoning on the skin that maybe burned a little bit faster than I think he wanted it to. It's so funny to me that this butter, what is it? The butter cake?
Butter tart. Yeah, butter tart.
The butter tart. They both went in the direction of duck, and they both handled it so just poorly. And I was really rooting for Henry too, because we've seen in the previous episodes him sort of rushing to the finish line. I think he called himself a barbarian. I thought that was hilarious. But then you have the time and you see what extra time does for you. You lose a plate that has saucing, and it's just like, bro, just get it right, finish man. Just finish it. Yeah, that was really hard to see and hard to watch, man. I love duck, and just way that was handled, it wasn't.
When you finish early, what goes through your head? You're like, is it
something's wrong? Something's wrong. When you finish too early, something's wrong. Like they gave you 2 hours for a reason, right? And if I were to finish early, I'm checking, triple checking, quadruple checking every single plate, making sure that everything looks identical. I'm cutting off maybe side pieces of the duck to make sure it chews right. I'm getting like the perfect plate. I'm eating every single thing. And what we didn't see Henry do was that. He was sort of just like, they even had like this beautiful elevator music when he was walking around, right? He was really like soaking in that time. And I'm like, bro, this is not the time to be lax, man. Like, this is, if you have extra time, use it to your advantage. Like, eat the dish. Try to figure out if there's anything wrong. Edit it, right? But he was more so just lollygagging until like the last few seconds. And then he realized that, he didn't have every plate identical. And I'm giving him grief, but this stuff happens. But you got to be with a competition like this, man. You got to be on it because everyone else is. And you can't just sort of like give away these moments, especially time. It's I don't know. I was disappointed in that.
I was really bummed to see that bottom three, Schwei, Henry, and Zubair, because I was like, man, those three, I could see them winning it all, right?
They can cook.
One of those,
they can cook.
So when I saw that, I was like bummed out when they were in the bottom three, and then there's magical elves, so magical. The idea that like the bottom three would have Henry, where he has that FaceTime with Evelyn talking about like, I'm kind of scuttling a little bit, trying to find myself. I got to get back into gear. And I was like, yep, he's going home. But Zubair, when the description is absolutely the worst bite of the day from Gail, and then Michael Cera saying couldn't go for a second bite, and the wheat berries weren't cooked well. It just, there was nothing on that plate where I was like, ooh, that actually might save him. And Tom did say that he didn't like Henry's, he prefers Zubair's cook on the duck than Henry. So I was like, ooh, maybe Henry's going home.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Zubair goes home. The other dish is, let's go to the top real quick. Tristen, the way this dish looked and the way he explained the Madeline, and my daughter's name is Madeline. She's right over there, by the way. She's home.
Shout out to Madeline.
They say hello, Madeline. He did a lamb fat Madeline, and it's this like little dish. Brilliant. Little like almost like a biscuit or I don't even know,
cookie.
Crumbly cookie. And Stephanie Duong was on the show. She was like a pastry maestro. She's a pastry chef and owns Roselle Desserts. She wanted the recipe. It was so good. So not only was she impressed, she gave that like ultimate respect, like the ultimate, the highest praise you could get from a judge is like, yo, give me that recipe. And then the lamb, the Guyanese pepper pot, lamb fat, Madeline, dude, that whole dish was.
Sign me up. I want kudos and bravo to Tristen for, man, like you said, high praise when you're getting that from a pastry chef and they kind of want to get that recipe, or at least, understand the thinking behind it. It just all came together. The lamb apparently was cooked perfectly, textbook. The pepper pot, it was exactly the idea that I would have gone in, especially with my Afro-Caribbean background. And I love the fact that both Corwin and Tristen went into that direction because this figgy duff, it literally calls for it, right? You get all these warm flavors of allspice, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg. These are all things that work so well throughout the African diaspora, and you see in so many different dishes. Jerk chicken specifically, which we saw Corwin do, and then pepper pot, which is exactly that. It's just a very warm, deep-rooted, spiced base. And using lamb and then the Madeline as well, oh, man, it sounded poetic when he was talking about it. It looked amazing on the plate. And then Corwin going just straight to the point. Give me fried chicken. It's hot out there. Give me a little jerk, a little cabbage slaw. It reminded me, speaking of Ruparina, it reminded me a lot of my dish that I did as well, with the apple slaw and the fried chicken, which is probably batting 1,000, for all Top Chefs. If you do a fried chicken well, man, like you're there, you're going to put yourself either in the middle or the top. So Corwin just had the right idea. So did Tristen, and Kat, shout out to her as well with the brilliant, play of going almost Wonka, right? It was so whimsical. Taking the duck breast, we saw liquid nitrogen being used again. And I love the fact that she went for it. A bold move.
Custard. Yeah.
Mustard custard. That's right. I would have never.
We love a good dad joke here on this pod.
Yeah. I never would have gone that direction because I'm not that brave, but she went for it this entire episode and it paid off.
I saw there was on a couple of these that the cacao or the chocolate didn't come through. Why is that? Like, it seemed like with some of these dishes, is cacao cooking with cacao, like, is it a muted flavor that you really have to bring it through? Because I was surprised that when I think it was Paula, they didn't get a lot of chocolate. And I was like, oh, I thought there was a lot of chocolate in the description. So is it a kind of a temperamental ingredient like that?
It's the base of it. It's actually, it could be a trippy mess up because now I love this question. So it's a dessert, right? A dessert challenge that needs to be deconstructed into something savory. So you're using cacao as the base, but chocolate is actually the derivative of cacao, right? So chocolate has a bunch of sugar, cacao and sugar. So you're taking something very bitter, which is the cacao, right? It, in and of itself, without sugar, it's just bitter. It's raw, it's bitter. But then you add a bunch of sugar and cream and milk to it, and then you get that beautiful sweet mouthfeel, right? And that's where the dessert aspect comes in. So they didn't add any sweet elements to the dish. And I think if you would have, then you would have brought out that sort of chocolate flavor rather than a cacao flavor because they were posing. So I think that was the issue there. Like, they went almost too intellectual with it. And really, you have to add in a little bit of that sweet element. And it just sounds like that was the case. Like, there wasn't much sweetness to the dish that sort of harkened back to the fact that they needed to use or needed to deconstruct something, a dessert into something savory. They just went savory on savory. And, sometimes when you overplay it or overthink it, that could be your Achilles heel. But yeah, cacao in and of itself is not sweet. It's bitter. It's inherently bitter. So you have to bring in a sweet element to it. And I think that's what the judges caught.
Can we talk about Vinny again?
I love Vinny. You know what? Yes. Let's talk about Vinny. I think I know where you're going. I appreciate the romance that Vinny brings to his dishes, but it's kind of getting a little corny. It is. It's kind of getting like, bro, give it a rest, man. And I think the judges are catching on to this as well. Like, you don't have to butter up
Michael Cera loved it. Michael Cera loved it.
Yeah, but then we have
he's pandering to Michael, and it worked. It worked.
Literally, it's the pandering. He's pandering to Michael. He was pandering to Chef Danny Balut last week. Like, bro, we get it. We understand, man. Just cook your dish and go home. Like, you don't have to do all of that.
The gold flakes. Do you have any gold flakes at your restaurant? And what are your takes on gold flakes on food?
If you want to go ahead and just boost your food cost by like 800%, then go ahead and just grab a bunch of gold flakes. The fact that they have it in the restaurant, or at least at the Top Chef kitchen, you don't have to use it all the time, right? Like, a deft hand, it goes a long way. You can just edit that out. But I love the fact that he had him in mind. I also thought Michael Cera and Vinny, they favor each other a little bit as well.
They kind of look like each other.
They kind of look like each other. Yeah. But man,
baby face, little white guy. Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is. I could definitely see him playing the Broadway version of Superbad somehow, some way.
I think speaking of gold, you just landed on a gold mine there. Superbad on Broadway. Well, here's his Yukon potato dish did look great. I mean, I was like, that's where you want to go. And he had this almost like he garnished it with these little mushrooms on there too. And it needed more chocolate, I guess, or more cacao flavor because it's the potato chocolate cake. Massimo, he did the Moroccan lamb tartare. Cesar did the lamb tartare. Almost identical dishes. Michael Cera loves Cesar's and said, that's my dude now. Ras El Hanout yogurt. What is Ras El Hanout? Do you know what that? I was not familiar with that ingredient.
Ras El Hanout is a beautiful spice mix. You'll typically find it in the Mediterranean or Northern Africa. It's subtle. Depending on who sort of mix it, it could have a lot of spice notes to it. But it's a really beautiful combination of spices. Yeah.
Okay, so he uses that in his lamb tartare. It is weird, isn't it, that like a lot of these couples in these pairings, they did like the same dish. You had the duck breast dish, the seared duck breast dish from Zubair and Henry, and then here you had the tartare dish, and it was almost like they were going head to head in this very similar dishes. Katiana with the immunity, she's I wouldn't say mailing it in, but she went fairly like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this porridge. It's not gonna win. It's not gonna eliminate me. Tom didn't love it. Said it was a little slimy. The skill, when you get Tom saying the skill level on Tristen, it was just like, I don't know. I had a moment, Eric, where I was like, I think he can win this thing. Like Tristen, in our scoring system, he's second in the point system that we have for the full season behind Katiana. And I wouldn't have said that after the first episode, but now I kind of feel like Tristan's coming for it.
I gotta say, you remember early on in the pod when we first started this season, I gave a huge apology to Tristen because we did meet in person, last year, and when he came at me, and rightfully so, he's like, "Bro, you're gonna remember me this time." And I think he has a research. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I like that energy. I love that energy." Actually, man, his knowledge of food is insane. He's a joy to watch cook. His skill level, like Tom mentioned, is out of this world. And when you have sort of that heart and cultural background and knowledge and just skill set, you're a dangerous chef, man. And that's exactly what you need, in this competition. But, kind of like, playing baseball, right? Right before the postseason, you don't want to get hot too soon. You want to sort of like give yourself time to really breathe. I love the fact that Katiana had immunity, and then has not necessarily mailed it in, but she kind of like played it safe enough where she didn't maybe use her best dish or sort of like pull, you know what I mean? Like these are the moments where you have to pace yourself. But yeah, Tristen, man, he's coming at it, and he's looking really, really good. His dish, again, stellar, could have won easily. But again, that fried chicken is like undefeated, bro. So good for him.
Yeah. I'm sad to see Zubair go, but the twist is that he's going to be back into the Last Chance Kitchen, but like a re-entry is around the corner. And it seems like we got like a double elimination happening as well. So it's going to be in the next episode. So this seems early for Last Chance Kitchen to come back in. I've been doing Last Chance Kitchen recaps, and because this is kind of a crazy Last Chance Kitchen, this like standoff showdown here, I'll do another recap later. But Eric, here are the standings we've got on our fantasy team.
Let's do it.
Let's remind the folks here what the teams are. I'm feeling good about my team. I've got a 21-point lead, 59-38. And this week I had 20 points. You had 12. Of course, you have Tristen on your squad. You got Vinny, Cesar, Henry, Tristen. Zubair and Bailey have both been eliminated. We'll see what happens with Zubair. Paula's still lurking, along with Lana. They both have been kind of in the middle this entire competition. Never too high, never too low, and they're kind of lurking, right? Lana's on my team. I've got Katiana, who's got 20 points on the season. And in second place, you got Tristen with 19. Shuai has 15. I have Corwin with 15. Kat has 9 total points. I also lost Anya in the last week's episode, and I got Massimo, Shuai. So I don't know if I totally bundled that, but basically I have Katiana, Shuai, Lana, Massimo, Corwin, and Kat still left. And you've got Vinny, Cesar, Henry, Tristen, and Paula still left. For those who don't know, the fantasy points go, if you win the episode, the entire elimination challenge, you get 10 points. If you're in the top 3, that's 5 points. Middle, if you're just in the middle, you're not either in the top or the bottom, you get 2 points. And if you're bottom 3, you get 0. If you're eliminated, -5. And then Quickfire, if you win the Quickfire, you get 3 points. And if you're in the top 3 on the Quickfire, you get 1 point. And in Last Chance Kitchen, if you move on, you get a point. If you get eliminated, you're -1 point. Right now, I've got a sizable lead here, but things are going to get really spicy.
All right. You're too loud.
While I'm Massimo right now, a little beating my chest. Dude, I really love this episode. Any final thoughts before we run?
Fantastic episode. A lot of fun watching it. Man, this season is it's getting better and better and better. I'm excited. It seems like we have a little bit of a tension with the preview and Massimo and Lena. So was it Lena? I think so. But yeah, it's getting real, man. I think the chefs are feeling the pressure. I think we're all sort of like bought in. I love the fact now that we're really understanding who these chefs are and where they're from, which is, low key one of my favorite aspects about the show. Obviously, the cooking's amazing, but really finding out, I didn't know that Corin was a shadow boxer, but now I do, and that's fantastic. Like, this is really cool. So, looking forward to the next one, man. Double elimination. It's going to get realer. The cooks are going to get more tighter, and the judges going to get more serious. So I'm down for it.
Amy, if you're listening, we want to have you unpack your knives. So let's make this happen. Amy Schneider. That's it. The Michael Cera episode is done. I thought he was great. He knew his food. Like, I thought his judging was really strong. He clearly knows cooking, and he's a funny, witty dude. And it was great to have him on. I can't wait to see what's happening on the rest of the season. For Eric Adjepong, I'm Haberstroh. This is Pack Your Knives.
Peace.